All right, and welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. I'm your host, Kyle Williams, and this is the #1 web show where aspiring independent artists and do-it-yourself musicians can learn right now how to gain wider exposure, grow a strong base of raving fans, and make a living doing what they love. On today's episode, we have Charlie Scott, who has pushed through drug rehabilitation to recovery and now is on the path to expressing himself through hip-hop. And he's been making a lot of great leaps and bounds in the past year. So we're going to sit down and talk with him about what his personal struggles have been, the story behind his lyrics, the frustrations that he's running into about being a hip-hop artist, and what his main approach has been to getting exposure as an independent artist. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. I have on the show Charlie Scott. Charlie, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, brother.
This is a pretty interesting interview because you've gone through some particular struggles in your life. What is the story behind the lyrics that you spit?
Well, I don't particularly like writing music for, I don't want to put it in the wrong way, but I don't write it for the listener. I write it to get things off my chest.
Okay.
And allow the listener to relate. And those who relate, it's the same theory behind, be yourself, and the friends that stick around, the ones who don't. But at least you'll have the right people around you. I do the same thing with my music. And because of who I am, I've attracted a lot of recovering addicts. I myself am a recovering addict. Lately, a lot of soldiers and families of soldiers, because I have a soldier in my family that I recently wrote a song about. And lately I've had a lot of that. A lot of real people. The songs are real, honest lyrics. And that's basically what's God people. I mention God in a lot of my music. I don't,
okay.
I'm just being myself, and I've been getting a lot of that feedback and a lot of good feedback, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad people relate.
Do you feel like for most artists it's difficult to be yourself unless you maybe go through some kind of traumatic event or struggle?
No.
Have you has it been the struggles that you've gone through has kind of enabled you to maybe be able to cut loose more and express yourself more freely? I mean, has that been your experience, or has it been something else?
Well, it was, for the longest time I was lying to myself and lying to everybody else around me and going through all these phases. Mm-hmm. And during that time I still wrote music and I still wrote poetry. I still wrote all kinds of stuff. But during that time, none of it was honest because I wasn't being honest.
Yeah.
And as I developed into a more honest individual, and, I don't claim to be perfect, but I try. As I developed more into that kind of person, it shows. I stay honest with everything. There's people that write because they're trying to write a hit or they're trying to do something specific, and that's not my motive. That's not my motive.
How's your experience been different since you're not approaching from writing for a specific audience or trying to write a hit? You're just purely expressing yourself and kind of coincidentally just attracting, it seems like, just the right people. How's the experience been different, I think, if you were just studying songwriting and trying to write hip-hop songs for a wider audience?
The difference, I would say, is interactions. The difference between, hey man, I love your song, to, hey man, I really relate to your song because I went through this. And it's more of it might be less people having a reaction, but a much more personal reaction.
So stronger connections, but with fewer people.
Yes.
Okay. When you started writing, at a very young age, were you listening to hip hop, or did you write poetry first and then discover hip hop?
I started listening to hip hop when I was about 5. I wanted to grab my CD collection. I started off with Rough Riders Volume 1 to, Nas's first couple of tapes. I have every single Nas CD that exists. I grew up in Queens. I'm here right now.
Okay.
So he's he's God out here. And we listen to a lot of hip hop music. A lot of the reason why I listen to such rugged and profane hip hop music at such a young age was because my parents were hearing impaired. Well, they are hearing impaired,
Okay.
and they didn't want to judge music because they never heard music. So whatever we asked for, they were like, "All right, whatever, it's music here."
Yeah.
And as years went on, they realized what a parental advisory label was and what it meant. And that changed a lot.
Yeah. So it was the idea. They couldn't actually hear what they were saying, but just the idea of what they were saying was enough to turn them off.
It was actually my mom's brother that that really that took heed and noticed what was going on and what we were listening to. Um, Aside from that, I mean, writing. I wrote poetry since I'm about 10, 12 years old.
Okay.
And it all started with, classes that I didn't really like, and I would just write. And I loved rhyming. I loved the way everything connected. And, kind of just something about me, I guess maybe it's all people, but when something connects a certain way and it goes perfectly, it's just awesome. I love that. And that that developed until I was about 16, 17. So I actually started writing music.
Mm-hmm.
And that developed for, I compiled a huge archive of about 200 songs and within about a 2 or 3 year span, but I was busy getting high, so
Yeah.
I didn't have money for studio time, and I didn't have money to go perform. I didn't have time to go perform. You know, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time every time. And when I got help, I had all these songs that I didn't want anything to do with. Maybe one day in the future I'll release them, but
Okay.
I didn't want anything to do with them because I don't personally relate to them.
Okay.
So it's not real to me. It's showing off. That's what I call it. It's just showing off.
Do you feel like that's what happens a lot just in the music industry in general? It's just a lot of showing off.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I'm a hip hop artist. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. There's a lot of rappers. Put it that way. There's a lot of people.
So there's a difference. What's the difference between hip hop artist and a rapper?
Hip hop is culture. All right, and rap is I could rhyme, or I'm gonna rhyme.
So
That's the way
like,
I interpret it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the act of rhyming is rap. Like you rap, and you are a rapper because that's what you do. But hip hop is much more than that. It's like ideas.
Hip hop is like J. Cole, Raekwon, and that's hip hop.
Yeah.
You take something like I don't want to say names. I'm just gonna leave
Oh, you
it
don't
at.
have.
I'm gonna leave it at the radio. I'll just leave it at the radio.
Yeah. I can already guess. I have one that first popped into my mind right away, and I said it before, not on the show, but yeah. But so I think anybody who understands, who has at least heard underground hip hop, which is there's some in the mainstream, but if someone really knows hip hop, then that's all you got to say, and they'll understand for sure.
Yeah.
What's been the most frustrating thing for you about being like a hip hop artist in today's music industry?
Honestly, there hasn't been much that's frustrated me.
Really?
I've only been recording and performing for a little over a year,
Okay.
and the amount of success I've obtained in just that period of time has been substantial. I can't complain at all whatsoever. I mean,
Where's it coming from? Like how?
there's two main things. It's one is everything I do has led to the next thing. I'd be at a show and I'd end up picking up another show while I'm there because somebody saw my performance and runs this venue, and that's been consistent. And aside from that, I've had my publicist Suzanne Pinedo has been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She's the reason why I'm meeting here with you today. She's been phenomenal.
Okay.
And I don't drink. I mean, I'm 23, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't go out and party. You know what I mean? I'm working. I'm always working.
Okay, so
I don't lose Friday and Saturday, and then recover on Sunday. That's almost half a week right there. It's 3 days.
Yeah.
Those 3 days I'm working, and I'm diligent. I don't give up, no matter what it is, and I'm pushing and kicking down as many doors as I can, and it's been paying off. A lot's been paying off. I mean,
In just a year's time, huh?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So-
That's impressive, man. I mean, Do you just feel like it's like sacrifice is the thing that separates you from other hip hop artists? You don't gain the same kind of traction because you're willing to sacrifice the weekend parties in order to work on your craft.
Yeah, and anything you do, the harder you work at it,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
Does it ever get tough, like being able to maintain that level of focus and work effort?
yeah,
What do you
yeah, it
do?
does.
What do you do to
Um,
deal with it with the tough times, man? Do you have a way of like psyching yourself up, or
you know what it is? There's always something different that needs to be done, so it keeps it smooth, and I could just always do something else. I could, go from, all right, this week I'm going to be doing interviews.
hmm
And, in downtime, I'll be writing, because I'm always writing. All right? That's a given. I mean, out of 365 days during the year, I'd say there might be 2 days that go by that I didn't write something.
do you
I'm
feel like
always
that's
writing.
important? Do you feel
Yeah.
do you think it'd be different if you spent like a month writing and then took a month off to do work on the business aspect, or do you think you need to be constantly writing?
The business aspect and the writing are constant. It
Okay.
really is. It's constant. Being on top of everything, it's really constant. It's I don't. There's no training, you know. But I've, you know, I think things through. I follow through. I have a nice team behind me. We're all real educated people. But we everything is always well thought out. And when you say business aspect, literally we treat it as if it's a business,
Hmm.
because it is. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, there are funds that can be obtained if things are done the right way,
Yeah.
and do treat it like a business. Aside from that, um, there's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of fun involved as well. So there's little things that motivate me from, I might get a message or an email that'll say, this really reached out to me, thank you so much, and, or this is my favorite song, and those things are really motivating me. It's just like, the feelings fluctuate so much, because you ask any artist that, isn't signed to a major label, they'll tell you, this
Yeah.
week I feel like I'm on top of the world, and next week I feel insignificant, and that's just the way things go.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you feel like it
and
never change? Like you'll? Do you feel like you'll? That's just like a feeling you have to get used to, like just the ups and downs, or do you think there's a point where you'll stop feeling like that?
you know what? Even if I were to make it, and
Which
be
is,
completely
yeah,
successful through
yeah,
hip hop, all right?
yeah,
Um, if that were to be the case, I still wouldn't stop and say, all right, I did it.
yeah,
So it's always going to be constant until I'm ready to retire. The same way a police officer or firefighter retires after 20 years of work. Until I'm ready to put the mic down, or they're ready to put the axe down, or the pistol down, or turn their badge in. It's until that day, it's still work,
hmm
and it's I don't know, it's an enjoyable process. The journey's the fun part, And you make it there, it's all right.
yeah,
But it's the whole journey. What am I gonna do with? All right, I made it. Hang that quote on my wall. I mean,
yeah.
it's this is the part, where everything kind of gets a little crazy from day to day, but it's really interesting.
You hit it on the head with the part about it being about the journey and not the destination. It's me may immediately made me think of Bruce Lee, who I'm a huge fan of. So huge points there.
All
uh,
right.
but do you consider yourself a do-it-yourself musician
Yeah.
or just a musician?
Yeah. No, everything. I mean, like I said, I have a publicist behind me.
Hmm.
I have my recording engineer, who's with me when I'm in the booth. We have a great relationship. His name's King Sage. He's
Okay.
phenomenal. I mean, we could literally. I mean, we work fast, efficient, and everything comes out more than professional. Um, I have an entertainment lawyer. Should anything come my way or be presented to me, it's always good to have a second pair of eyes look at it.
Yeah.
Um, or if there's any questions I have, I'm not gonna just overlook it and say I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I want that second opinion. I mean, the team that I've been building around me is great. And did I build the team myself? Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, I don't do all the work myself.
Yeah. So it's what would you how would you define what a do-it-yourself musician is?
I don't have a manager and I don't have an agent. I book my own shows. I would say that makes me a do-it-yourself musician. You know,
Yeah.
I did the digital distribution myself to distributing my album myself to I mean, from A to Z to walking into a label's office to this everything that I've accomplished to approaching my publicist and approaching my engineer. You know, getting things done. Being a man of action
Yeah.
to get all these wheels spinning around me.
Yeah.
I would say that makes me do it myself musician, but
Yeah. No, I
I
agree.
don't know.
I agree. I think that
My definition might be different than somebody else's.
yeah. I think what's different. I think it's musicians define themselves as do-it-yourself musicians, and the only thing that differs between them is what task they choose to take on. And I think the task that they choose to take on is totally dependent on like the skills that they have outside of the actual musical creation. Because there could be some people who simply just write and perform but cannot produce a song, and then there's some people who can do that and produce it, so they kind of act as both. But what I find just from do-it-yourself musicians that I know personally and that I see out there in the music industry is that the thing they all share is they take responsibility for their careers, and that's exactly what you do. But what is as a do-it-yourself musician, like in your capacity, what's your main goal with music right now?
In all honesty, it's to be a successful independent artist. I don't want to be a label slave. I really don't.
Do you feel like that era is kind of coming to an end?
Yeah, yeah, I do. What an independent, successful artist, somebody such as Macklemore,
Okay.
who does things on his own. Should somebody like Macklemore to do the exact same amount of work as somebody who is signed to a label do, and they both obtain the exact same amount of success,
Hmm.
he can make at least double what this other artist makes.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's doing less work for it. It's not like he's making things any easier.
He just owns the music. He owns
Exactly.
the royalties. He owns the the capitalistic process. How like money gets exchanged.
At the end of the day, I mean, he's creating his own journey and he's doing all that work and he's enjoying it. He's living it. And I think that's phenomenal because I feel like one of the first breakthroughs in hip hop that I've seen in a long time. Something along that line since
Really?
Ludacris.
Really?
Ludacris was another one.
How so?
He actually created this whole entire format that it's the idea of creating a business, creating a label basically, signing yourself to your own label. So signing myself as an artist to my company that I just
Yeah.
created, which helps the artist in so many ways to the point where you go and get CDs made, it's a write-off.
Yeah.
You go and purchase clothes. Well, a performing artist needs clothes. That's a write-off.
Yeah.
And all these things, that all comes back. And it all, taxes. Artists get banged on the head with taxes more than you believe. And
Really? Wow.
especially if you're doing everything by the book. And yeah, it's a trip.
Do you have
But,
a tax consultant? I would.
I have an accountant. My uncle. Actually, I deal with my uncle. My uncle's a CPA.
Okay.
And any questions I have, I go to him. I don't have him, officially working for me
Okay.
but any questions I have, he's a consultant basically.
Yeah. That's one aspect I think most musicians wouldn't do it themselves. Wouldn't do the tax stuff.
No,
No. Oh
It's
my
all-
gosh.
it's
I just
all
want to
slang.
barf thinking about it.
it's all slang at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
start looking at their paperwork. That's a that's a whole other realm.
So, Charlie, what's your main strategy for just getting more exposure right now? I mean, you leading the helm for that endeavor, or do you have people working for you? What are you doing in that area?
I won't. I can't say.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
It's a very original plan,
Okay,
and it's a plan that has just recently started taking its course of action.
okay, gotcha.
But I can't really say.
Oh, that's
Aside
fine.
from, there's a few television appearances I have coming up,
Okay,
a few major ones that I'm working on, and I'll call it a
okay.
tour that I'm doing. Um,
So it's maybe something that's really in person.
yeah,
Like you're doing it from the ground up. Okay, okay, I got you. I'm excited. I'm excited. Got the secret weapon rolling out pretty soon.
actually, I have tomorrow morning.
Your new video is getting
From
released.
yes, New York time. I know you're over in Cali. New York time at 1 o'clock. I have a video being released for "Hold My Hand," and
10 p.m. our time, or I mean 10 a.m. our time.
10 a.m.
Okay, I'm counting it on my fingers below the screen so no one can see me count on my fingers.
It's shot by Dennis Latos of
Okay.
Latos Entertainment,
Okay.
who's another person who I regularly use as a videographer. You'll see why when the video comes out. His work is, I mean, he shot my last video, and it was kind of like a coin toss to see how everything would be with us working together.
Hmm.
And I mean,
That was King Simba.
this video, yeah,
Yeah.
that video looks like it's shot by a 4-year-old compared to what this is looking like. It really is. It's incredible. It's incredible.
And it's
I'm
one thing led to another, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just I can't even explain. This video is phenomenal. This video is absolutely phenomenal,
Right on,
and
man.
it's going to be surfaced on multiple platforms.
Okay.
It's going to be released exclusively for at least a few days on TRS247.com.
Okay. Which is the Rendezvous Show with Chris and Alicia. For anybody
Yes.
who might not know what that means, but we have the we had them on it for an interview previously. If you guys didn't know, Charlie is actually coming on through referral from them. Like he's saying, one thing leads to another. You just got to keep consistent with it. But before I last, well, I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we're gonna find out how people can best connect with you and check out that new video. But I'm gonna throw this question at you and have a lot of fun doing it, like I always do. What's your favorite album, and what would your life be like if it never existed?
Oh man. Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna answer that in two ways. All
Okay.
right. Um, my favorite album would be Eminem's Recovery album. Okay.
Okay.
Lyrically and orchestrating and his structure on everything and on every single song, that entire album completely crushed even his latest album. It crushed everything he's done and then everything I've seen any artist do.
Yeah.
Um, but myself as an artist and my life would be very different if I had never heard, and this is old, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this, but there was an artist named Mace. All right, this is
Mace?
a while back. Yeah,
I remember Mace, man. Didn't he
or
like he
Mace. All right.
collaborated? I remember it because he collaborated with Puff
All right.
Daddy back in the day.
Now, Mace is now a pastor. All right,
Oh
which
yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
that's
throws me off
right.
completely. All right,
I
that's
feel old
Pastor
because
Mace
I know
now.
who you're talking about.
But that's Pastor Mace now, right?
Yeah.
But he had an album called Double Up. All right, and him and Double Up is like What Drake does now, he did in Double Up.
Okay.
Just the time wasn't right. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it is. The timing wasn't right. It's more appealing and with the media and how everything's done online nowadays, as opposed to in '95 and '96 when I was 5 and 6 years old. Um, Things were just starting to generate. That's
Yeah.
the age of Napster and Kazaa. You know, so
Yeah.
so everything was in the works, but that's that was huge, and that changed everything for me as a musician, and I mean, as a person. There's a lot of stuff in there that really sticks out to me. I still remember quotes from it, and I haven't heard it in years.
Man, I was just thinking of I can't remember the name of the song, but it sampled some famous song, and it had Puff Daddy and was a big hit, and had Mace in it, and they were flying like on air in like big, like bright green suits. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I can't remember the name. Cannot remember the name. It was like More Money, More Problems, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah. And I remember
yeah.
Mace like had a segment, or maybe they weren't even flying like on Tufts of Air. Maybe I'm mixing it up with something else, but those videos
I don't,
were
I
awesome.
don't remember the video, but I know exactly what song you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's how like I got introduced to a lot of stuff, because back then, music was still there. Music videos were still like a valid promotional tool in the large sense. So, well, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, as far as like MTV goes and TV broadcasts, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Everybody's like, watch what you say about MTV and all this, and I'm like, listen, I tell it how it is. I don't care. All right. If they take it as a preach, great. But you're talking about the age where MTV played music videos.
yeah,
You're talking about that once upon a time.
yeah, yeah.
Long ago. I don't know if we could. Now we're going back.
Yeah, we are, man, for sure, man.
I'm 23, talking about going back. That's how long it seems since MTV's played a music video.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay, man. Well, tell us real quick how we can connect with you.
I have a website. That is charliescotthiphop.com. I really hope you guys can spell this.
Oh, I'll have it.
Uh,
Anything that you send, I'll have it linked up below. I just
all
want
right,
for the
beautiful.
people who are listening to audio only version, they won't have the link. So,
Yeah, it's charliescotthiphop.com. It's real simple. Through there, you can find my YouTube channel, which has music. On the website, there's music.
okay.
My Twitter, Facebook, and if you enjoy the music, you can always download it on iTunes or Amazon.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, Charlie, thanks again for coming on the show. And
Thanks for having me.
All right,
Absolutely.
man. I'll check you later.
All right, take care, man.
And that wraps up this week's episode of Seeds of Music. Make sure to check out Charlie's links below and give your support. If you haven't yet, sign up for the email newsletter. It's the best way to stay up to date with everything awesome happening at Seeds of Music, and it's real easy to do. Just head over to seedsmusic.net, punch your name into any of the forms listed all across the site. Next, if you like this interview and feel like you learned something valuable or just enjoyed it, please make sure to share it, share the love, share, and like it. Next, comment on the video. What was your greatest takeaway from this interview? How will you apply what you learned? And who would you like to see interviewed next? And if you would like to be interviewed on the show, just send me an email to kyle.seedsofmusic@gmail.com. I answer every email. Just give me about 2 days, but rest assured I'll answer it. And remember, we are the future of music.